Alright, rail relaying. Crew lineup: one operative with American Edition, one fireman with American Edition, five laborers unloading, placing the rails on the grade of the rail to be unloaded, but may be placed either on flats or in gondola cars. As much of the load material may be taken out with the work with the travel train as to reside with the take out enough as possible the morning. The last day of the day, say the 8-10 cars. Place the flat car with American there on the way train with the have the locomotive head on the tour of the train, and so that the engineer can more readily be the signal with the spotting with the railways unload the two cars next to the car with the machinist step for the unloaded whenever they empty the car out. American travel over the flat car's portable traction section, not to the best advantage for the work with the track section. You with the right of way with the ditching. If the ditching is made, makes no difference where the rails lie up. The dirt may deposit any of the place for the car, but traveling up with the next car load, portable track section cannot rest upon the rail with the load of the car headed to void. They would be advisable to provide a track section with the proper length so they would not extend over the onto the car ahead. But the empties usually could be cut out with a switch clearing of the train surface or when going with the four wheels lightly and any sacrifice of time. Place three laborers on the cars with the rails, one laborer known with the tongs man with who sets the rail tongs at each approximately center of the rails, one per one. And for the car, one should be provided with the rail fork, with the other with a short pincher bar with the place for the ring, with the ball up, back up, ball up, with the accommodated with the hooking of the rail tongue, with the two of the men steady with the rail with his go over the bar, with the remaining of the two laborers are placed on the ground, one each side of the rail car to unhook the rail tongues as if the spine end of the rail, even with the end of this last unloading. Unloading rail first on one side, then on the other. The engineer spot with the train flag signal with the brakeman who stands with the machine machine car. After the crewman has accomplished to move the work, several rails being unloaded with the stopping of the train. The new rails can be spotted so that they will be lifting, shifting in the necessary of the track lane with the crew where there later be new steel. It's advisable to mark each of the car with the indicating approximately the rail center so that the tongs can be quickly hooked to the center, reducing the tearing of the rails. The dipper of the arm can be removed in 30 minutes with the recommended with extensive work. The hoisting line, which reaches the maximum of 29 foot 8 inches of the center of the machine, it easily extends with the boom to the center of the 40-foot car. The dipper need not to be removed, but the amount of the work of the rail cannot be handled so quickly that it becomes the hoistly doubled with the roof of the speed with the half of the dipper is removed in an 3/8 of an inch chain with a 6-foot long should be provided with a ring on one end with the pass ring over the center of the dipper, the tooth of the fasten rail tongue on the over at the end of the 3/8 of an inch chain. The chain with 3-foot braidle chain, bolts and spikes, angle bars may be carried on the car with the machine. Our general marks. The American with the lineup of the will up and unload 2 rails a minute with an over averaging 90 rails an hour. There are no crimping of the steel, the damage of the ballasting method which cannot be advantage with all the hand crew. There are no men hurt. The sum of the weeks that have been traded for the rails injured with the thrown with the pound with the cars. The hand crew, especially with unloaded with the gondola cars, gondola coach flat cars are alike with American. Hand crews with hand crew of 25 to 30 minutes required to unload 90-pound, 100-pound steel. The heavier the steel, the less they do, but the American handles about 100-pound rails easily with as easy as 60 pounds. There's confusion of the handwork because of the number of the men required for the work is done. There's much less snap, the precision of the American way that all the hand crew accomplishes much less than results must be greater than the cost. The American eliminates the necessity for the keeping of the bunk cars, feeding with a big hand crew of 30 men with the western trunk with a line of average 50 rails per hour in 500 hours in 500 days. The American with the machine had 5 laborers and same worker averages 90 rails per hour, 900 per day, and saves over $40 a day. The handling of the rails from the gondola. Alright, loading old rails. Crew lineup 01 operated with American Ditcher, 1 fireman, and with American Ditcher, 4 labor. The usual custom of the pick up the rails one side with the train with the time to provide 2 men with the ground alongside with the car loaded with one of them and the clamp, the rail tongue from the rail center for the other holds the ends of the rail for the guy with the ditch boom with the swung over the position over the car with the 2 men in the car on each end of the rail guided into the place with the man over the ground with whose duty with the guy with the rail with through the angle bars the bolts for the car with the angle labor can be only use the advantage of the head of the work over the train marking the rail center and the turning up the rail balls up with the train spot with the signal of the brakeman is unloading the rails. Alright, prominent southwestern road showed that the following saving the loading of the old rails extensively railing with hand crew with 11.6 rails to 26.2 tons. The American 7.3 to 16.5. The American saved 4.3 cents to 9.7 cents. They did not include the expense of the work train, which consists of the factor of the either moved with a handle or rail, which may therefore be limited with the comparing with the cost of the two methods. Northwestern Railroad had 3 American obtained with the customers results of loading old rails as follows. The average number of the load per day, 5. The number of the rails cover car, 120 weight with the steel per yard, 60 pounds. The total gross tonnage per day, 160. Average cost per ton, including work train, 32 cents. Average cost per ton, including loading expense for it, 10% for 4 cents. 10.4 cents. This one with the men on the line with work heavy train with the service. The large number of the rails were picked up out of the water behind the telegraph pole with the pole up the higher grades. For extensive mainline work for some of the roads equipped with the flat cars, both sides with one over the car scrap, the high place, bottom bolts, nuts, and etc. With one over the good second hand with the place from over the angle bar. In addition with the rail with the cars and heavy work with the kind. Some of the railroads had 4 men go ahead over the train classified, assemble the small materials and pile with the 4 of the other labor to quickly laid in respect of the car. There are many different orders for the loading. For the instance of one order may call with a 30-foot rail within good condition and with or without angle bar, when the same with the cars, another same many lineal feet regardless of the rail length, another curve with a worn rail, another short length, etc. When the time is lost for the clearing of the main line trains, when the time to be may be utilized, having the men sort of the pile of the material with the scrap of the cars, marking the rail center of the brake joints, old rails, classifying material in advance of the train. Shifting the track crew lineup with the 1 operator with the American ditcher, 1 fireman, 5 to 6 laborers. Usually a train crew. The American is head on the flat so that can be worked on the front end of the car after the angle bars have been removed. It is easily met with the lifting of the section of the track of the ties, steels and ties, all the hoisting line shifting either side with the desired direct side of the pole may be obtained with the running of the hoisting line through the snatch block of the fastening with the back post end of the post with the dead end of some kind. When shifting the track is not operating with the frequently performed occasions, such as the readjusting of the yard, but it is desirable to shift the track in such sections rather than tearing it up, relaying the customary way. One of the such of the occasions, the American very quickly demonstrates the adaptability, transferring heavy sections speedily and economically. This shows the American shift track. Loading and unloading material. The American be taken in with the material yard, but the empty for loading the material quickly, cheaper than go back at the end of the steel with the work of the train handrail. For the handling steel, depending upon the condition of the climate, whether the ground level, the location of the track, etc. The American with 5 to 8 men will display for all the hand crew of the 25 to 30 laborers. The American will easily unload the car with the stockpile of the 10 cars, the 100-pound rails, each of the 1,000 rails in 10 hours. Actually costs the machine expense for the labor of $15. Actual cost handling rails of about 3 cents per ton. As about the test and unloaded with the 100-pound rails, the stock 45 minutes for the cost of $1.13. American handles 100 pounds of the rail easily with a 30 pound with the heavier the steel, the less for the handle. The American hand loaded for the gondola easily on the flat car. The next impossible for the man with the load with the gondola. The American lays the rail with the down easily with the men to drop it down in day, and the drop of the rails has been past. The American does not injure the ballast sperm, and the ditcher shove the ditcher handling ties. A crew of men damages the badly at the time. The American pulls in rails in the distance from the location of the weather be impossible for the hand crew. Handling ties and loading and unloading ties. The American crew with the 5 to 6 men easily do the work of the hand crew with the 25 to 30 men with the American commencing one end with the train with the flats traveling over the portable track extension, loading the tie of the material, then goes the material, pull for the material with the distance for the lifting of the hollow, etc. One prominent southern road with several American ditchers purchased for the American and flat car equipment with exclusively using the loading ties, other system unloading that their creosoting plants. Alright, the cleanup train with the Western Road has been used with the American exclusive with the capacity of 5 to 6 years, picking up old material along with the right of way and unloading the material yard. The machine crew consists of 1 operator with 4 laborers, through the operator usually doing the firing. Old Rares Bridge for the timber of having parts of the wood required with a hand crew of 10 to 20 to 25 men readily handled by the American. The scraping up to the scraping up to the train. Pile driving bridges and truss building, putting on the remove of the pile driving attachment, and building truss building the shovel to remove the facility, handling time timbers of piles, etc. to enable the pile driver attachment applied. Standard pile driver attachment consisted of a pair of 30-foot wooden leads with a steel guide with a suspendable from the point of the boom leads for the revolving deck with means of a substantial channel with the lattice bracing with which form of the base for the platform leads for the baby readily moved with the sideways bolstered position driving the battered pile with a standard drop hammer weight of 1,500 pounds with 400-foot leads. 2,000 pounds hammers can be furnished with a slightly increased price. The American driver the straight with the battered plate pipes piles any point point of the 40-foot circle with the maximum radius of 20 foot from the center of the machine. The permits driving pile bends directly in front of the approximately 15-foot center of the pile driving crew lineup. One operator, American ditcher, one fireman, handyman on the machine, one foreman of the boss carpenter, three helpers, one teamster. One team and a teamster. The team of the teamster is snaking the bring in the pile with the team of the timbers and the provider with the coal and the water with the working over the stream of the tank of the field with the siphon and provider with the machine. Pulling piles into the lead. Pull the pullback of the front drum with the wind and shovel the work hand with the line with the bowls the dipper back into the desired starting dig then serves immediately. Pulling the piles into the lead then holds the ample amount of the line, snaking and pulling of the piles from the distance, pulling them into the leads, placing them pile cap stringers. The actual driving the pile, the matter of the routine needed not to be detailed. The hoisting of the line pulls the dipper into the bank and shoveled over the work raised with the drop hammer, the boiler engine are simply incapacitated for the operating with the drum per hammer with very efficiency. The machine strikes 8 to 10 blows from the hammer per minute with an average drop of about 20 foot. The placing the cap and string of the track is laid up in the machine. The materials are carried with either the flat or lariat carried with the rear of the place, and it must be transferred up from the machine or by any condition of the warrant. The material may be brought up the machine and wagon. This shows the ditcher driving pillages. This shows the swinging of the pile into the leads. In your general remarks, the usual method of driving them out with the machine with the flat car that headed with the work with the spotting with the car with the locomotive is the bridge complete with the track of the flat car's back of the machine carry the piling cap with the string of track material plan filed with the many operators to put the machine down with the grade with the line with the surface of the track with the starting with the bridge bringing the cap string with the materials down with the machine with the Larry the car with the U with the two 12-foot and 15-foot section wide gauge portable track with the tie spikes in the section with the raised line from the pullback drum with the track section straddling leads when it was transferred, laying of the stringers on the cap of the bent over the complete with when the machine traveled over the one side and with everything clear with the next bent with the manner bent for the can be driven with the approximate maximum distance of 15 foot from the show of the hard at it. Center to center, temporary stringers can be used to carry the machine over the piling with the permanent with the string of the desired and seal later leave regularly manually while the American made the father with the outline 1K for the call with the out of the to our attention was a 300-foot temporary trestle to be filled with it was built with a 3 pile bench for the 2 outside piles driven into the batter with the 8x8 caps used with the trestle was about 10 to 16 foot high piles of 16 foot 20 foot long. The machine was down on the grade of the line of 12 foot. The portable track section traveling over the trestle temporary stringer the complete with the average 8 to 9 to 12 foot bends. The 100-foot completed day of the trestle per day. The piles were all approved by the deadheads and sinkers with the American finished out of the river. There was used with the 70-pound steel temporary stingers underneath the regular ties, 70-pound steel to pass the material carrier cars over the build of the grade with the filling of the temporary with the stingers and lining up the track, filling the reach of the subgrade, thereby saving the expense of the permanent stinger with the cost of the cap, the nails, and labor of the $3.75 per bent. Many large railroads save the cost of the attachment several times in carrying one of the emergency entirely ample of the requirement of the smaller road. Building and raising of a timber bridge over the head structure, the pile drive with the shovel attachment for the taking off of the class of the work of the machine that become with the locomotive with the crane with the nominal 5-ton capacity. The machine works from the top of the flat car head into the work by the work train and building the bridge of the material carrying the flat cars backing over the machine with the raising of the bridge and other structure of the materials loaded with the empty car with the back of the machine. The machine moves freely back and forth with the flat car portable track section under the power working the full circle readily handled with material cars with the front with the rear. No outriggers required with the clamping down the chains that provide with the chain of the machine to the car is necessary. 2 individual operators with the friction with the drums provide with the 2 lines that may be handled independently with the simultaneously with the will of the operator. When the circumstance is warm, the American can run down the surface of the track on the auxiliary standard gauge wheel for the class of the work. This shows the raising of the timber bridge. Ballasting, spreading crew line up with 1 operator with American ditcher, 1 fireman with American ditcher, 1 laborer, 1 man, and 1 team. After the track of the relay with the new grade with the American travel over the track of the standard gauge auxiliary track with wheels taking the spreading of the ballast as it goes. Cost of the ballasting spreading is including with the operation of the American dig with the material with the either side of the placing the track of the front, but one of the laborers work in the front. The machine remove the roots and rocks and the interface with the machine and the interface with the machine passing over the material and the actual spreading. The American easily ballast spread without 2,000 foot with the track over the 10 hours and the cost of the 1.25 per station with 100 foot, $25,000 to $25 per day with the sufficient material that can be obtained with the slab of the estimate includes the liberal amount of the upkeep and the interest of depreciation. The maximum digging depth of 8 foot 4 inches below the rail with the maximum machine set for the maximum dig radius of 30 foot to 6.5, 30 foot and 6 inches of the on level with the rail, with the usually permits obtaining ample material from the side. The method of eliminating the work for the train. Otherwise necessary to provide the material with the force release of the 20 hand shovelers required to put the dirt under the tie of the balancing by the hand of the scratch for the work of the cost of much more of the grading of the greater than filling more the disadvantage for the hand crew. The works under the proportionately increase the cost of the balancing of the hand shovelers may easily cost $5 per station of 100 foot from $200 to $300 per mile, spreading the material evenly between and over the ties, the surface screw, and the final acts of balancing. The homemade spreader is shown with the illustration accompanying this, made with the hooking of the two of the space of the 5/8 inch raw iron into the pockets, either the side and of the machine truck with the bending of the iron down towards the rail in the back of the providing with the dropping of the two good cross ties and lower one of the just clear of the rails. Will cover all the low spots, but the more elaborate device, the shape of the computer easily arrange. The spreader can be placed at either end of the machine, and if the balance spreads in either direction, it's impossible to sand the dirt to get in the traveling gears of the American as they are all thoroughly enclosed with the running of the wheel. The machine pushes the spread under it until the power spreading the material evenly open out of the ends of the ties. The southern roads use one of the Americans extensively flushing and filling widening shoulder grades and setting the dipper into the material after it had been plowed off the moving the train forward and slowly under the signal of the ditcher operated with the shown filler in the illustration. General remarks: under the unfavorable climate, weather conditions do not handicap the American. They do not handicap the crew. They do the hand crew, and when the work is tied up with the outlays, reduce the minimum. The American eliminates horses in the drivers and the upkeep that reduces the equipment for the minute and cuts out the many of the cause of the worry. The American makes the splendid showing of the emergency under the adverse circumstances where the hand crew makes up the small headway with the big expensive American workers every minute with the rain of shine, making the most of all the available time made between the trains and the main line. Are cutting and widening the move at the side. Often desirable to put the line through with the least time as possible to get the traffic started, but the putting of the finish of the touches on later. This shows the widening of the shoulders, Dutch widening of the cut. Certain cuts have the tendency to slide badly, including cut trouble that may be desirable to clean them out when the making the room with the snow. The material may be in quite to fill. The widening of the cut, the American good ditch can be left on the outside of the grave. Impossible to make the steam shovel with the hand crew. The flat car work train. The crew line up with the one operator, the main ditcher, one fireman, the American ditcher, one laborer, and a handman. If the equipment of the Jeep of the car, the equipment at least of 80,000 pound capacity of the good condition, must be furnished with enough cars that should be supplied with enough of the American to load with the dirt and all. As long as the train clearance and permit with the length of the hull with the number of the worker of the train suggest the American load the cab and travel over the portable track sections of the next empty flat. And this shows the cleanup of the side to the proceed before the loading of the entire train of the loading until the work of the train clear of the train surface the locomotive spot the ditcher on the signal of the ditcher engineer. The dump car work train. The customary on the main load of the train to remain the roads is put the American flag between 15 to 20 yards material with the dump cars load at the rate of 50 to 60 yards an hour. Then put the train out of the dump. Then the crew line over the one operative with the American ditcher, one fireman, and the American ditcher air dump the dump cars are admirable for the service. Some of the roads from the track of the flat car with the ditcher stand with the instead of the portable track section in front of the machine. Much of the time, say with the dump car training over the string of the capable of unloading the material, unloading the plow, customarily using the flats, the permits for the material pulled by the much greater the distance for the unload with the get back to the on the job of the shed. They handle much more of the yardage in a given time. The dump car train being of the lights permit is more with the speed, better time than when moving than there is possible than heavier flat car train. It can therefore work with longer and clear before the trains and shorter, greater the yardage in given time. Often the material can be used an advantage to flush out the widening of the shoulder, the end of the cut with the being diff of the dump car. The train can run with the out and the dumping in the back work, and then the cut with against the few minutes of flat car train must be either run to a switch to either unloader and the switch a string of the cable over the material will unbound by the hand. So much for the time is consumed with the regular train service often interfere with the further work time and the consequence of the material unloaded with any place to get rid of it. Often the material where it's not needed, while the place it does not need is neglected. The dump of the car train can go out to the end of the cut and dump it and shut and back into the cup and then work until the smoke of the train there are clear for the site, then go out the way. Here's another saving. A light engine that will pull the train can be used with the being necessary to make the heavy engine with the freighter for the work will be reached for the pull. The heavier flat car work with the train operating with the expenses less than on occasion with a short portable track connection. The labor is not required to shift the moving of them to the machine operated with the firemen, usually complete the machine ditching crew, and the method of the might appeal to the new road not equipped with the flat cars, unloading the oil at the dump. Or your double ditcher. The double ditcher work train is the outgrowth of the single ditcher train, but involved with the principle for the single ditcher train. The double two ditcher train will be twice as good. With its method, the four dumped cars are filled into the time at the same time required by the one ditcher. The filled two dumped number of the flat cars that will be loaded with the one ditcher, yet one engine for the train crew are required. And I gotta take a break.